99.9.
It's 10:30 a.m. here in St. Vincent Reservoir and Caribbean. You're locked on to the King for Sun with WEFM 99.9 is time for Shakeup's program for today, Thursday, the 6th of February. Today's Shakeup's scripture will be taken from Psalms 35 verses 1 to 3. Plead my cause, O Lord, with them that strive with me. Fight against them that fight against me. Take hold of shield and buckler and stand up for mine help. You will also despair and stop the way against them that persecute me. Say unto my soul, I am thy salvation. That was your Shakeup scripture reading for today, taken from Psalm 35 verses 1 to 3. You're locked on to the Clean Fresh Sound with WEFM 99.9. Remember, Shakeup's an interactive program, so the number to call is 457-9997. The number to call again, 457-9997. On WhatsApp, you can call or text 457-9997. Today's Shakeup's host will be hosted by Mr. Augustine Ferdinand.
Thank you very much, Richie, and good morning to you and morning to the listeners of WEFM. Greetings to those who are listening via Star and Garfuna Radio. Pleasant morning, those of you who are listening in the diaspora via internet radio. Those of you in the United Kingdom and across the continent of Europe. Also, special greetings to Consul General in Canada, Mr. Fitzhuggins, Consul General in New York, Mr. McIntosh, my good friend and brother all the way in Oman, and the many students around the world, whether in Taiwan, Turkey, Australia, Cuba, Mexico, those in Russia, and across the various advanced tertiary institutions in the region, including University of the West Indies, and also greetings to those of you who are listening to us via social media. As usual, it's an interactive program, and the number to call and get interactive with us is 457-9997. That's 457-9997. That's the number that you can call to get interactive with us here in studio of WEFM. I know this evening around 6 o'clock, Invest SVG will be having their press conference at Holiday Inn, I believe. And therefore, because of that, from 2 o'clock this afternoon, the office therefore will be closed because, of course, the staff have to assist at the site out at Holiday Inn for the press conference. So therefore, Invest SVG office, which is situated in the financial complex, will be closed from 2 p.m. 2 o'clock this afternoon. Today's program, I want to look at the economy and different initiatives that are creating jobs and growth of overall in our overall economy. Because sometimes what you normally hear from the opposition is that the economy isn't going anywhere, or that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines isn't creating job opportunities for young people. Or you'll hear that the government doesn't know how to manage the economy. And we've constantly heard that from the opposition for a period of years, part of their song sheet. But clearly, that is very, very, very far from reality or the truth. I know recently the Minister of Agriculture, and based on what was also presented in the budget this year on his own presentation, that through the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, they already started to deploy the fish aggregating devices. I made mention of it here on this program, and where these devices assist fisher folk in catchment areas where they can have greater fish landings. So budget is already on the move, as in the things being implemented. And therefore, those devices, normally called FAD, fish aggregating devices, are already being deployed. So too, you have, again, through the Ministry of Agriculture and under the Food Insecurity Project, the distribution of seedlings and animals to those who are identified, farmers and those involved in backyard gardening, which is also in collaboration with Zero Hunger Trust Fund and the Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture. So there are a lot of things happening also on the production side of things, in making us increase the amount of work and meeting our target in terms of food security. But like I said, as much as that is part of how you create opportunities, the discussion today on jobs and growth of our small island economy. And I just want to start off by saying that in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, under this government, that we've seen robust growth, economic growth, for the past 3 years. 5.5%, 2022, 6.2% in 2023, and 4.5% in 2024. And even in 2021, during the eruptions of La Soufrière, one would think that with such an impact that year affecting your productive sector, especially pertaining to agriculture and fisheries up north, and also most part of the island, that had a growth. I mean, the IMF, their figure is 0.8%. World Bank puts it at 1%, rounding off there. But it was growth. And even in the pandemic, during the start of the pandemic, in 2020, while our economy contracted by 5%, it was the best performing economy among our counterparts in the region. Because while we Well, our economy contracted by single-digit figure of 5%. Other economies contracted by double digits, including St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbados, 16 and 12%. But there was contraction still nonetheless. And clearly, anyone looking at those figures, looking at the circumstances and the realities that time, understanding the circumstances even of last year, 2024, that despite these realities and circumstances and challenges, there is no doubt that the government managed the economy exceptionally well, and that the government and Labour is on the right track. There's no doubt about that. Because like I said, despite the circumstances, pandemic, eruptions of La Soufrière, droughts affecting agriculture, ashes affecting agriculture, you even had the loss of livestock because of eruptions. You've had Hurricane Elsa and Hurricane Beryl. Despite all those challenges, we manage well in not only having growth, but also in creating opportunities for people. And therefore, for this year, you can expect further growth as we continue discussion on what we as a people to expect in Budget 2025. Given that tourism is taking off in leaps and bounds, even the opposition agreed in Parliament that there's significant growth in tourism and that tourism is indeed going on the right track. So there's significant growth potential and growth taking place in the tourism sector. And therefore, you have many taxi and tour operators, and the Minister of Tourism was in here in this very studio on Sunday. And I was happy that he highlighted the fact that there are many local businesses who apply and benefit from duty-free concessions and exemption of duties, despite the rhetoric you hear by the opposition that only foreigners who benefit from that policy initiative. But again, concessions are given based on the type and size of your investment in the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And therefore, just as last year, where many taxi and tour operators took advantage of the duty concessions on vehicles, the newer the vehicle, the more concessions they get. And that is why we see a lot of taxi and tour operators with these nice looking vehicles because of the policy initiative of the government. That will obviously continue this year to further propel growth in that area. You have Sandals investment, and we spoke about that, and where that investment has assisted with the increase of stopover visitors. And obviously, you want to have that investment without the construction and completion of an Argyle International Airport. And next week, come the 14th, will be another anniversary since in operation. But the $200 million investment, and that is in US, over 500 and something million, you see. That investment is reaping benefits for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that benefit, those benefits, is not just with the creation of direct jobs, but also the creation of many indirect jobs from the very same local tow, land and sea tows operators to even the providers of food and entertainment, benefiting because they are therefore seeing increased income as a result of that investment. And therefore, one can safely say that in addition to the 850 direct jobs being created, when you add that to the indirect jobs, is more or less, you're going over 900 to 1,000 jobs. That is again because of the injection that the government has placed in investing heavily in our tourism sector, including making sure that not just we have the Argyle International Airport, but upgrading of tourist sites, and we continue to do that, including Fort Charlotte. We had the Belmont Lookout that was under construction and completed. We have wonderful facilities at Ovia Salt Pond, Darview Falls. You have constant work being done at Mount Twin. You have Waraku, tourist site out there. And the government continues to make further upgrades to these sites. And then you have, like I said, the tow and taxi operators taking advantage of the concessions. You know, just to say this again on concessions. By the third quarter of last year, you had about 68 taxi operators who took advantage of those concessions. And out of the 68 of those taxi and tow operators, 46 of them got 100% duty waiver on the vehicles. 100%. Again, you will hear from the opposition that only foreigners who benefit from duty-free concessions. That is normally the mantra. But like I tell you here today, I'm talking about opportunities and growth in the economy. That by the third quarter last year, 68 taxi and tow operators apply for duty-free concession on the vehicles. And out of the 68, 46 of them got 100% duty-free waiver on the vehicle. And those vehicles today are newer than 5 years old, which means they have less problems with them. And they are making money because whenever a cruise ship boat comes in, or whenever a plane comes in, They're the ones who get the US dollars, including tips. And they make a living for themselves. And that's how you create not just jobs, but also wealth creation. Because that you start off with one vehicle, you make enough money. As a matter of fact, this is a conversation I can tell you right now. I actually spoke with a few taxi operators, well, 2 operators. And that is one discussion they usually have in buying another vehicle to continue the business. Obviously, the last conversation I had with one, their reluctance was that you had to trust people these days. Because this is sometimes you hire a man to drive for you and then the man sort of rip you off. But that is downside, the risk in the business. But as a conversation you have within the industry, the sector, where 2 operators looking to buy another vehicle or buy a fleet. Because in their mind, given the growth potential that they see in the sector, with the increased visits, cruise and air, they see potential for expansion and where they can make more money. Obviously, you can't make more money in a dying economy. So you can't say the economy is being mismanaged or the economy ain't going nowhere, but yet you see an explosion of these taxi and tour operators. So something ain't matching up. But that is the discussion that they have because they see the significant growth potential and the demand that is created that they are willing to supply. All because of the policy and the direction of the government in terms of the tourism sector. Similarly too, you have local hoteliers who expanded on their infrastructure, increasing their room stock, again, because of the demand for rooms. And you have the larger buses who also benefit from duty-free concession. Additional opportunities that are created and the potential for growth is where the government for this year has allocated $3 million towards Prime program. There are many young persons who start up the business from this program. And I remember the leader of the opposition said, why the government have Prime when, in his view, instead of having grant financing, it is better to have a development bank to provide loans to small businesses. Well, I could tell you that under the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, there's a partial guarantee arrangement for medium-sized and small businesses who may want a larger sum of money and use loan component that is provided now through Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But when you have a young individual, very young, who do up a wonderful business plan, they see a need in the economy that must be satisfied, and you do up the business plan let you know the products or the service that they would wish to supply. In the business plan, they tell you about the demand, and based on the observation, and they also give you estimated revenue that they can make. In that, they'll let you know the equipment or supplies that they'll need. And they're like, all these things are normally flushed out in your business plan, the cost of operation and the like. And the prime looking at your business plan, the committee, well, sorry, supposed to seems to know what they're about. And based on what they're asking for, you give them not the whole thing, whether 50% of it or the like. But it is much better to do that, because persons who are involved in business know this. That obviously, when you start up a business, and shopkeepers also will know this, and entrepreneurs, that in most instances today, even where you have to find space for rent, because there are instances where you have to do that, because where you live, the demand isn't in your area, so you see the demand elsewhere, and you may have to actually venture in Annesville or Tongue, and you have to pay rent. And rent is high in these locales. And starting up that business, it is virtually impossible, if you take out a loan, for you, even within 6 months in the operation of your business, or even up to a year, as a matter of fact, for you to make a good enough profit, or even profit, to then start repay that loan. This is just a reality. So obviously, prime is attractive because it gives you startup money, grant financed, where you don't have to pay a loan. And therefore, the government has seen many young new businesses under this venture, from agriculture to cosmetology, other services, and therefore has allocated $3 million towards Prime program. And like I said, through the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Program, which of course is in collaboration with the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, the government, that Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines also has committed $2.4 million in loans to 24 small businesses. Again, this is partially guaranteed. Opportunities, areas for growth. And 24 small businesses will benefit from that $2.4 million allocated there. You also have opportunities in prime empowerment zones. And where you have various shops, and trust me, it's a wonderful deal. Imagine paying less than $20 a year to occupy a space where you're making way more than that in one day. That's a wonderful deal, you know. But that is just another way in how you create opportunities for young people to bring their own dream, their businesses to reality and providing jobs and lay the foundation for wealth creation for them. But it's now 11 o'clock, so we'll take a short commercial break and then resume with the program.
WEFM
99.9. The flavor nice, it's locally made. Affordable price, Lord, up to $3 retail. When you see we line it, with the red and white case, show me what you like it. It's cigarette from Empire. Holdings Limited, it's cigarette from Empire. Holdings Limited, with over 60 years experience. Hold the best tobacco, best ingredients. Yeah. This is your boy Luther say, support local, buy your cigarettes from Empire Holdings Limited. 10 cigarettes in a pack for up to $3 retail. Remember, smoking is not for minors.
Do you spin a dial to make a call on your rotary phone from the 60s?
No.
Are you driving an unreliable and risky automobile made in the 1900s?
Of course not.
Are you still fiddling with an antenna to get good signal on your black and white television from the 20s?
Really?
Then why are you still stuck in the past, sitting on an unintelligent 1930s design toilet? That's right, 1930s design. What does your bathroom say about you? Don't get left behind. The future is now. Be smart. Be progressive. Get yourself a smart toilet seat or a complete toilet today. You can visit the My Smart Toilet Seat office on the 3rd floor of the Blue Corner building opposite the old Anglican School on Bay Street. Our smart toilets are also available throughout St. Vincent at retail outlets with the orange flags. For more information, you can call us at 457-1703 or visit our website, justwashit.vc.
Whatever you are celebrating, birthdays, anniversaries, engagements, retirement, or just celebrating life, the place to be is at Basil's Bar Kingstown. Established for over 38 years, we are open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with an exquisite ambiance. We have and we are flexible to all requests. We go above and beyond to serve you. Basil's Bar Kingstown, where it's more than just a meal, it's an adventure. Call for reservations at 457-2713.
WEFM 99.9, home of quality programming. A source of reliable news and information. Home of legendary voices and music. WEFM 99.9, the clean first sound. Visit us online at www.999wefm.com or call 457-9994. WEFM 99.9, the clean first sound.
99.9, the heart and soul of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. WEFM is SVG.
So yes, we're back in studio of WFM. I am your host, Augustine Ferdinand. So we're talking about jobs, growth, and opportunities in the economy of St. Vincent and Grenadines. To those of you who are now joining, as I mentioned earlier, the 3rd quarter of last year saw 68 local tow and taxi operators benefited from duty-free concession provided by the government for the importation of their vehicles to do their business. And of that 68, 46 of them, 46, got 100%, because it ranged from 50% to 100. But they got 100% duty-free waiver on vehicles. Local tow and taxi operators. I mentioned $3 million provided and allocated towards Pride. And also over $2 million plus provided under a credit facility to Bank of St. Vincent and Grenadines for 24 small businesses. These opportunities, well, no doubt, will create not just jobs, but lay the foundation for wealth creation for ordinary citizens in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Last year saw over 404,000 record-breaking visitors. 404,000. And again, that is why the taxi and tour operators are grabbing the opportunity and getting concession, because there's a great demand. And we have in 2023, where it was just about 380 something thousand. And Bucket show that with more flights coming, more people will no doubt come. As more destinations are added, more people will definitely come. As more events are created, more people will definitely come. All because of the infrastructure and the investment made by the government in having an international airport. Also, you have $3.4 million provided towards the rehabilitation and upgrade of tourist sites, and all fingers crossed, Fort Charlotte supposed to be completed this year. I know that is at least one site where many taxi and tour operators like to carry visitors because of the scenic view. But the upgrades being done there is not just for persons to go up there and take a photo and see the Grenadines in the background and Kingstown, but also with the creation of activities at the site where it will encourage tourists and other visitors to spend. You have growth in the economy, as I mentioned earlier. Last year over 4%, 2023 over 6%, and even the year before that over 5%. But again, there are challenges. And while I mentioned these things about hotels, taxi and tour operators, and even in fisheries, fad devices, provision of pirogues, you have through the Kingstown Cooperative Credit Union, the loan facility, which is partially again guaranteed by the government of St. Vincent and Grenadines, and where fisher folks are taking advantage of that, including having a large tuna vessel. All these things provide opportunities and jobs for the ordinary man and woman in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You have over $27 million being allocated for production support for farmers and fishers. And that includes, like I said, you already have the distribution of seedlings and livestock. But you're also going to have greenhouse supplies and irrigation equipment, including water tanks, spray cans, which will help preventing weed and diseases, and tillers, very important terms of production support and saving time and cost. You have the Blackfish processing facility in Barley to be completed, similarly to with the Oria, with the road factory out at Orange Hill. All these things provide opportunities and jobs and accelerate growth in the economy of the country. Good morning, Carl. Welcome to Shakeup.
Hi, Sir Ferdinand. Morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Weeks.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to join you in the
It's fine. It's the people's
conversation.
program.
Yes. I want to join you in the conversation that you're having. I want to speak with you in terms of the topic you've been discussing since morning. But I want to add a historical context to it. See, in the middle to late 1970s, up to about 1984-85, St. Vincent and the Grenadines experienced significant growth in what the economists refer to as capital formation. It's the same thing you're talking about this morning, investment. The evidence was there. You had the factory shells in Camden Park. You had a diamond dairy. You had an effort to bring back a sugar industry and much more. So what that did, when you combine them with what was taking place in the banana industry, because the consumers, the housewives in England, were paying to our farmers a price for the bananas that is higher than they can purchase from the price they paid when they purchased bananas from Central America. The bananas produced in Central America were cheaper because of scale and the price of labor. In other words, the farms in Central America were larger, and so it was easier for them to make a profit. And in addition to that, the wages paid to the farm workers was much lower than what was paid to our farm workers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So the records would show when the NDP government came into office in 1984, the economy grew. But the economy was not growing simply on the basis of what the NDP did. The economy was growing on the infrastructure, economic infrastructure that had been met in place. Never mind that they eventually closed down all of it, closed the diamond dairy, they closed the sugar industry. And by the time they left, there were virtually little or no factories operating in Camden Park. So very often you will hear the NDP talk about the growth that we experienced in the mid-80s up until the mid-90s. But that growth was based on the work did by Milton Cato and his government before we voted them out of office in 1984. That's the reality. The numbers will show that. If you go to the statistical office and ask for a complete set of the national accounts tables and you go back to those years, you would see the estimated gross capital formation was much higher in the 85 to 95 period than the 79-85 period as compared to the 85-95 period. In other words, the last days of the Labour Party, they invested in the future of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The NDP benefited from that investment made by the Labour Party. And that is why, after 1 year in office, the NDP got all of the candidates elected in 1989, because it appeared that they were doing so good that even though the persons asked questions about the 89 election, I give them the benefit of the doubt, and I say it's based on what is happening in the economy. Fast forward, Mr. Ferdinand, if you take, say, 2000 up until 2025, and more importantly, say 2015 to 2025, that 10-year period, you can see the same thing that happened under the end of the Labour Party is happening again. Tremendous capital formation, investment in an airport, which is a catalyst for growth and job creation. And you have done well in outlining a lot of the stuff that are taking place based on the presence of the airport. And I dare say that the future is even better. So you have the airport. We know when the NDP was in office, their mantra was government provide the basis for the private sector to invest. Climate.
Yes.
They were not interested in leading, showing the way in terms of investment in commercial ventures. We have a difference in this government where, under the leadership of Prime Minister Gonsalves, supported by Finance Minister Gonsalves, that the government has been leading the way, they have been showing the way in investing in areas that the private sector needs to go.
Correct.
As you mentioned, in the tourism industry, the hotel and restaurant sector, government has spent its money providing a relatively large hotel that you never saw in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Holiday Inn. And they are in the process of constructing an even bigger one than that.
Yep.
The government is not doing this on its own. The private sector is chipping in, and they themselves are creating capital formation as well.
Yep. And the important...
the Sandals Hotel.
The important...
And we know in the short time Sandals have been here, what they have been doing for the tourism industry in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And there are others. Even the ones that we had here before, they have been expanding. In some cases, probably doubling their room stock. So I agree with you very well that the airport is a serious catalyst for economic integration, integrating the various sectors of the economy, transportation, agriculture, all of the sectors, including the services, do well when the tourism industry is doing well. What does this hold for the future, Mr. Ferdinand? We talk about the history. What does it hold for the future? It leaves significant potential for young persons like you and those who are coming after me in terms of their opportunities for employment. And when we talk employment here, we're not just talking about finding a job somewhere we're talking about employment in terms of creating their own jobs, becoming entrepreneurs.
Wealth creation.
And again, we can commend the government for this. As you were pointing out, it's important that we give the young people an opportunity to experience what it is to be an entrepreneur, to invest in business. They may fail. Government may spend $10, $15 million over the life of the project, or even more. And more than half of those who they invested in may find themselves without a business at the end of it. But what is important, as Finance Minister Gonzalez Camilo has always said, you're giving these young persons an experience as to what it is to be involved in setting up and managing a business. So while that one failed, they will learn, and in the future, hopefully, they will do better when they set up another business. The future is great for young Vincentians, Mr. Ferdinand.
Yep, indeed.
There's a lot of opportunities. The youngsters are getting opportunities to acquire training, acquire academic education, acquire skills. And additional to that, the environment has been created for them to find work. I note that a number of persons in St. Vincent have been taking a hit at the Argyle International Airport. And I submit that this is an attempt to diminish the Argyle International Airport in the eyes of the voting Vincentian. I hope Vincentian would see beyond that. The Argyle International Airport is an important asset for the future. The Labour Party, against all odds, with all of the criticism and even an effort to prevent the airport from becoming operationalized. After just 7 years, in a week or so time, would be 8 years since the airport has been working, it has been working well for us. I hope Vincentians are taking note of it. One, so that we can encourage our young persons to take the opportunities that are now abound. And two, that we will not make the mistakes that we made in 1984 to put persons in charge of this economy who do not appreciate the effort made, the sacrifice made in terms of creating capital, formation of capital, making investments in St. Vincent, both in the private sector and in the government. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution, Mr. Weeks. Well said. Mr. Weeks provided a historical backdrop from 1980, more or less, 1979 to current. And of course, during then you had IBI, industrialization by investment, which was formulated by Sir Arthur Lewis. But you mentioned the Holiday Inn Express and the other large investment to come, which is Mart. And both investments are basically public-private sector partnerships. So while, yes, the government put in the sum, the equity involved, they'll be managed exceptionally well and carry the brand of these entities. But as he said, for the future, there will be tremendous opportunities and potential for young people. And it's not just job creation, but also the creation of wealth. And that is why, again, when the opposition go on and on about this thing where they claim there's no growth in the economy, or that there are no jobs being created for young people in the economy, or that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is mismanaging the economy, the figures and observations prove otherwise. Because, as I said, for the last 3 years, 2022, 5.5% growth, 2023, 6.2% growth, and last year, 4.5%. And even in the year of eruptions of Lassa Feria, you had 1%. And even in the year 2020, despite the economic contraction, you had St. Vincent being the best performing economy. All of these years, and even before, shows good governance and great management of the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines by the government. But again, you would hear from the opposition. Others, and I wanted to listen to the leader of the opposition when he was on a program with Jomo Thomas.
If you look at what's happening in agriculture, what's happening in fisheries, what's happening in construction, all over, you find that the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is on autopilot, and the government doesn't seem to know how to get us into a growth situation. And you deliver a growing economy with jobs and economic opportunity for our people. So many more things are going to be improving in terms of the well-being of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we can discuss some of those as we go along.
You hear him say rhetoric? And in that given year, that was just last year. You had growth. Before that, you had significant growth. But the usual rhetoric by the opposition leader to make you think that the government is mismanaging the economy. Well, the taxi operators know otherwise, the tour operators know otherwise. Those involved in small businesses, the restaurants, the bars, the hoteliers, they can tell you otherwise. But he wants you to believe that, oh boy, the country, what he said, the country is on autopilot. Who in their right mind would believe that the country is on autopilot? With this government in office and PM Dr. F. Gonzalez as Prime Minister. Madness. So, I was talking about the credit facility at KCCU. And even that, the leader of the opposition criticized, and he said, well, you need a development bank for that. So not only in his mind, you need a development bank to provide loans to young people instead of grants on the prime. But he felt that instead of the government being in partnership with Kingston Cooperative Credit Union, a local business, that instead the government, again, in his view, should establish a development bank to provide loans for fisher folks who may want to purchase new vessels or buy engine and the like. But under that arrangement, you have over 50 individual fisher folks who have received loans totaling over $2.6 million from KCCU. And like I said, it's a partial guarantee credit facility because the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is putting in collateral. And that collateral total about $600,000 from the state. And there are persons who bought on a vessel, and not on a vessel came out of that arrangement, bought new engines and other vessels that help to increase their own fish landing. But in his view, the government should have a development bank for that. When this government is helping to strengthen a local institution, Kingston Cooperative Credit Union, which, by the way, will benefit ordinary citizens who are members of the credit union. You know, that's the thing with NDP. They come and tell you they are for the ordinary man, the average man. They're for small businesses and local entities. But here you have the government stepping into an arrangement with a local institution, credit institution, where you have many members who have Vincentians, owned by Vincentians. And the government say, all right, we'll collaborate with you on this. We'll provide collateral. So in turn, you can provide this credit facility to fisher folks who may wish to purchase new vessels, engines, and the like to help build their businesses in the fisheries sector. And the opposition opposed that and said instead what the government should have done is to create a development bank. But this is helping to build the cooperative movement where many Vincentians are owners of it. But I think, and guess the opposition leader doesn't see the value in that. There's a lot of things sometimes you hear the opposition and you shake your head. But it's now 28 minutes to the hour of 12 o'clock, so we'll take a short commercial break and then resume with the program.
WEFM 99.9.
The flavor nice, it's locally made. Affordable price, Lord, up to $3 retail. When you see we line it, with the red and white case, show me what you like. It's cigarette from Empire, Holdings Limited. It's cigarette from Empire, Holdings Limited, with over 60 years experience. Hold the best tobacco, best ingredients. Yeah. This is your boy Lou to say, support local, buy your cigarettes from Empire Holdings Limited. 10 cigarettes in a pack for up to $3 retail. Remember, smoking is not for minors.
Fast pay, on you an easy way to pay. Fast pay, fast pay.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay.
FastPay, 2 minutes and you're on your way. Fast pay.
Flow is keeping you connected.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a whole new world out there. Reaching new customers and getting products faster. That's what it's all about. Ocean freight rates are skyrocketing, so don't pay more for slower service. It's time to switch to faster, more reliable air cargo service with SkyMax Cargo. Up to 3 flights weekly to and from the USA, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean islands. Providing excellent import, export, and e-commerce solutions to put you ahead of the competition. For special low rates on small packages and air cargo, contact SkyMax today. 784-456-5400. Local agents SwiftPack Interbrand Cargo. Call 784-456-5400 to book your shipments today.
A storm or hurricane can cause extensive damage and tremendous loss. There can be flooding, landslides, and lightning strikes. Are you protected? What about an earthquake, volcanic eruption, a tsunami, or even a bushfire? Are you protected? Century Insurance protects you, your family, your home, your business. Talk to one of our friendly agents today. Call our Kingstown office at 456-2247 or Beckway 458-3855 or contact our representative, Mr. Jason Sargent, in the Bayshore Mall in Beckway at 454-4260. Call Century Insurance. We can protect you. Century Insurance. Upstairs, the First St. Vincent Bank building in Kingstown.
WEFM 99.9, home of quality programming. A source of reliable news and information. Home of legendary voices and music. WEFM 99.9, the clean first sound. Visit us online at www.999wefm.com or call 457-9994. WEFM 99.9, the clean first sound.
99.9, the heart and soul of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. WEFM is SVG.
The fisher folk of this country can drive the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. There is tremendous potential there. I believe in every single one of them. I want them to have that capacity to produce and to decide how to spend that money for themselves. They don't have to go and sign on to a government boat as a laborer, as a deckhand. And then when the government says they finish with it, they're going to lease it back to you at some point down the road. That is our money they take in to do that with. I say empower the fisher folk. Those fellas who are out there and they need to get bigger boats, find a way to help them to get it. We propose this, It seems so sensible and so simple. Yet, I don't understand why it is this present administration is trying to find more difficult ways to solve this problem. What we have said is that you have to provide capital, whether it's through a development bank or some other means, so that the fisher folk can purchase the bigger boats that they need. What do? They say that they're going to bring in some pirogues from Trinidad or wherever else. And then Colombia. I told a friend of mine down in Myra, I said, listen, this is the government plan. They're going to have these open boats coming and you could borrow $70,000 to go and buy one. The man almost cried.
The apostles who received pirogues are quite happy, and it helped them because it saved cost. But that is the leader of the opposition. But like I said, you have the facility at KCCU. It is strengthening cooperative movement there, and the benefit of the average men and women who are owners of the credit union, while it is also benefiting fisher folks of this country. And like I said, since of recent, over 50 fisher folks benefited from that credit facility provided to the tune of over $2.6 million. Of course, for this year, like I said, you already have the FAT devices, fish aggregating devices, and they will help with increasing fish landing by fisher folks. Because what you do is once you know where these devices are, it assists you greatly in simply going there and catch. Of course, surely, a mechanism that must be in place to prevent overfishing in one particular locale. But it will benefit the fisher folk tremendously in this country. And Likewise, you have $3 million to help finance the fishing fleet expansion, and also $750,000 towards the establishment of fisheries centers in Lomans Bay and also Shipping Bay. All these, including the blackfish processing facility in Barley and the arrowroot factory at Orange Hill, will unlock more opportunities and jobs that will benefit the ordinary man and woman in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Call coming in. Written caller, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ferdinand. How are you?
Hey, Henry, morning.
Just something I want to ask you because of the modus operandi of those on the other side of the tendency to blame Prime Minister Rav Gonzalez for any ill will, anything that befalls anyone in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They blame it from hurricanes to pandemics. With the actions being taken by ICE in the US against immigrants and the potential rise in the cost of goods, foods, and services, which will affect us in the Caribbean and it probably affect many other countries around the world, will they still blame the Prime Minister for that?
Well,
just asking.
Yeah, the opposition is known. The opposition is known to blame Prime Minister and the government for things beyond its own control. It won't surprise me for sure.
Yeah, I hope Vincentians are taking note of what is happening, because already construction sites are practically closing down because the laborers are not turning up to work, and a number of other sectors in the American economy already being affected. Also, they have ruled that you must prove your status in order to send any remittances. So that again, when you look at the Caribbean,
Henry,
yeah.
I know that was a proposal made by the governor of Florida. I'm not sure if the federal government or other states of the US of A have actually implemented that as a policy.
But knowing that the way many of the workers operate, they do not even wait for it to become a federal policy. They may just begin to implement it on their own because of the quote-unquote "Make America Great Again." I raise this because we really, really have to take stock of what will happen. There is it will impact us in one way or another. Already the African nations are pushing back against the quote-unquote decrees of President Donald Trump. Haven't heard much from the Europeans, but my take is that sooner or later they too will have to decide what side of the fence they stand on. Quickly before you go, I don't know if it had raised before, but St. Vincent and the Grenadines had a number of notable achievements in sports in 2024. I think leading the pack is the installation of lights at the Annosville playing field. And currently, today is the second day St. Vincent is hosting its first pink ball for the cricket game. Sad to say the Windward Islands are not doing too well. 166 all out with Kavim Hodge scoring 128. But I think it is a good thing for persons to go out there. The ping ball behaves differently to the red ball and even the white ball. But St. Vincent and the Grenadines, again, are making strides. The number of playing facilities that are available here and not enough use, not enough programs by many of the organizations in the various communities that need to change. School sports is on, and I must tell you the talent I have seen at the various school meets I've been to is most heartwarming, very encouraging. The last one I was at was St. Clair Deacon on Monday. It was a well-organized and managed sports meet, much more than the pre-Friday. Tomorrow, Friday, yes, is George Stevens. I hope by the grace of God to be there. But I say this because while sometimes we lambaste the young people for one bad act or another, we need to go out and support their efforts on the field of sport, because this is the biggest industry on the world, and it's about time we as a people take more and more and more advantage of its benefits. Have a blessed day, Mr.
Thank
Ferdinand.
you. Thank you for your contribution, Mr. Henry. Thank you. Thank you very much there. But yeah, it's February, and as usual, many schools have their usual sports meet, and then of course you have inter-school and even college. You have both primary and secondary, and then you have college have their own sports meet. Reeves won yesterday. It was yesterday, the day before yesterday, road relay, and they're ahead in terms of points at grammar school. And I know girls are doing their thing and other schools as well. But see, Kojo calling. Yes, greetings, caller.
Call him back again, Mr. Friday again. I have to talk to him again. When something is working automatically, that is a good thing. When you know that your furnace and I'm talking in engineering, your furnace and your boilers and all them things could automatically come on, switch off when they have to switch off. They're working like a good fine oil machine. You happy. And I guess that's the problem with him. He doesn't understand what automatic means. The country is working so nice that the PM only have to be in everything, and he wants to go into manual. Manual is when you have to go there and switch it on, go home, relax, go back and switch it on. Every hour you have to go and check on it. No. Automatic is good. Manual is bad. That's all I call it today.
All right, man. Kojo, that is an analogy. But yes. So that is benefiting the fisher folks. We look at the taxi and tour operators who are benefiting from concessions. We look at the expansion of hotels in the country, adding more rooms and more jobs. Because more rooms mean more jobs, It means more jobs because you're going to need more people to clean those rooms, organize them. And you also have to get more food now because you have more visitors and guests. You have the Argyle International Airport that's doing its part. And as we're talking about Argyle International Airport and these initiatives, I remember when the leader of the opposition talked about the benefit from sun. I want you to listen to this.
It's the obligation, the duty of the government to look out for the interests of the country, look out for the interests of the people. How do we benefit from it? It comes from the spin-offs. We are not going to get, a part of the room rate that they charge. We're not going to get, whatever they serve up on the table, or a portion except in taxes of the dinners and the breakfasts and so on that they serve. What we get is a lot of the spin-offs that take place, what are the services that are provided to this major hotel? What are the goods that are provided to this business establishment?
I'll get the VAT for 11% when people consume it. And they consume the room service. They pay for the accommodation and they pay for everything around the hotel, all the various services, including the drinks and the food. Because if you don't encourage them to come in or to build, 11% of nothing is nothing.
And all this kind of bullshit that they're talking about.
As the leader of the opposition, he was talking about sandals and what we won't get from sandals and how we actually going to benefit from it. And the Prime Minister had to break down in detail the state side, inland revenue, and how it will benefit the coffers of the state. Of course, they have other benefits, including jobs. Let's take this call. Greetings, caller. Welcome to Shakeup.
Mr. Ferdinand, just let me do this though. When we'll be celebrating how many years for the airport on the 14th?
Well, given that it was 2017, more than likely you're talking about 7 years. 8 years, more or less. Yeah, 8 years.
You know what I keep on remembering every time when a birthday comes around, strangely enough? You remember they put a little cross. So when the persons are pitching a road coming down somewhere in the airport itself, they put a star. And the NDP kicked up a stick. They put a star in the cement.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
And they kicked up, and every time it crosses my mind, I just get annoyed about it. I don't know why. I feel you're also going to dig another little star in it, you know.
But yes,
it
8 years.
Need anything to visit anything like just us local people. We would have enjoyed seeing it, and they never put down any. They did not do anything to commemorate that the ULP had built that airport at that airport itself. They didn't even put something up on the mountainside.
The thing is, everyone by now, locally and even regionally, and those in the diaspora know that it is the Unity Labour Party government under the leadership of PM Gonzalez plan and build this international airport.
Yeah, but that will go with the ages. A couple of years past,
and it will live. It will live in the hearts and mind of the people, and it will pass on. This will be a study.
You're not going to live forever. These things pass over very, very quickly, and we don't remember. By the time 50 years pass, nobody remembers anything. And every time I remember the little star on the road that they kicked up a stink about, I just get a tornado. Now go on.
All right. But yes, 8 years since CIA will be in operation, and as I always say, that with the 8 years you had between 2020 to 2022 of lull period because of the pandemic. So more or less, you're talking about 6 years in full operation. And since then, you have Air Delphi providing domestic travel mainland to Grenadines. Grenadine Alliance, Mustic Airways, SVG Air, of course. You have regionally Caribbean Airlines, or CAL, Inter-Caribbean Liat, Sunwing, Sunrise Airways, and Win Air. And then internationally, you have American Airlines, Air Canada, CAL, Conviasa to Venezuela, JetBlue, and Virgin Atlantic. Again, within the space of 8 years, and like I said, you had 2 years of lull time because not much travel was taking place during the period of the pandemic. But still, a significant progress, especially where there are those who posited that we won't have international flights. Yeah. So the airport is indeed working, and we see the benefits of that in terms of increased visitors to our shows, resulting in, as a result of increased room stock, and benefiting the taxi and tour operators, the entertainers, those who are providing food, the farmers and the fishers, those who are into arts and crafts, those who are even the tour guides and the like, all of them who benefit immensely as a result of this investment. And as Mr. Weeks said, based on the foundation that is already in place, based on what is happening for the future, it means there will be more opportunities for job and even wealth creation for young people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And you know, like I said, starting from this morning in terms of growth and the challenges, because that's important. Sometimes we just look at the end or the result. We don't look at the circumstances, the challenges, which too must be part of the discussion. Because you would hear the opposition say, well, oh, look at where agriculture is. But you don't talk about the droughts and how the eruption of Lassifré affected the sector, how Hurricane Elsa affected the sector, how Hurricane Beryl affected the sector. You just look at, and still, it's not to say that the government isn't addressing the impact on the agricultural sector. It's addressing it through the food security drive and the distribution of seedlings, distribution of animals, through the distribution of production support, your hand tillers, irrigation support system, including water tanks. You have the provision of spray cans to help combat diseases and weeds. So it's not to say that, yeah, we know the issue, but the government not responding. The government is responding. And therefore, the farmers and fishers are benefiting, including also income support. Because that is to assist farmers as well, because their income is affected. And similarly to, again, we talk about agriculture and the investment government is making in that regard. But yet you will hear the opposition say, oh, nothing is being done, or that the economy isn't growing, or that the government is mismanaging the economy, or that jobs not being created. But we all know, given what is taking place around us, given the increased fleet by taxi and tour operators, given the expansion of new businesses in Arnersville and other areas in the country, including Diamond and Bokoment, given the amount of processes that are going into the fisheries sector, we have rainforest food as well as an investment. Given all these things, how can you therefore say, in all honesty, that there's no jobs in the economy, or that the economy isn't growing, when even the IMF and the World Bank saying economy is growing by over 5+%, 4+%, when you had to get workmen in the construction sector? Huh? When you're seeing, not long ago, you used to see a lot of 2-ton trucks and 4-ton trucks. Now you're seeing trucks beyond 4 tons on the road. But yet you see nothing happening. Yet you see no jobs taking place in the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Huh? How could you say those things? When in reality they're happening in the real world around us. You have more and more young persons who look on Bank of St. Vincent calendar that are entrepreneurs, having their own businesses. And when you look at Bank of St. Vincent calendar, whether this year, last year, year before, you see the amount of talent young people have. Those who are either making candles, those who are making soap, those who are making hair products. This is St. Vincent and the Grenadines we're talking about. That is the foundation of trying to create your own wealth, because there's a market for your products, but yet the opposition telling you that no opportunities available for young people. Trying to sell you this story You yourself can go in the supermarkets and see the locally made soap, locally made tea bags, locally made seasonings, locally made flour of different kind, locally made peppers, locally packaged spices. You can go in other stores and see locally made hair products, but yet they're trying to tell you that there's nothing going on for young people, or that business sector is dying. But we all know the truth, and therefore dispel the lies by the end. But it's now made here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. I want to thank all those who call and interact with me on the program. Mr. Weeks again, the sterling contribution at length, going back at the history. Again, I remind persons 2 o'clock, investors with the office closes as they have a press conference at Holiday Inn Express at 6 o'clock this evening. So the office will be closed at 2. With that, take care, be blessed, and have a wonderful afternoon.